From standing in front of the barricade, taking pictures of your favorite artist performing, to capturing the emotion of the crowd when they hear their favorite song, concert photographers are able to take amazing pictures of shows that people dream to go to. However, it's not as glamorous as it may seem. It takes a lot of time, money, and skill to become one of the very few concert photographers that make it into the industry. We'll be taking a look into the world of concert photography and exploring what it takes to get the perfect shot. Now let's meet our local Miami concert photographers to see how they got started and what gear they use to capture these exciting moments.
Hi, my name is Ivan and I'm a concert photographer. Tonight we're at the Magic City Casino where I'll be covering Air Supply. I grew up around the music industry, worked in radio, worked for retail. It just seemed like a natural progression. I picked up a camera one day and decided I wanted to shoot a band live, and the rest was history. I am self-taught. I went online, looked up a few courses, and took a community class at one of the local high schools. Today I'm shooting with two Nikon D500s and Sigma 7200 2.8 with a 1750 2.8 to get both the zoom and wide shots.
My name is Mark Medina. I'm a photographer here in South Beach and I work for World Red Eye. I got into concerts in college. I was a DJ, so I was involved in a lot of event production. And after college, I'd always been a photographer my whole life, so I kind of lucked into a job as a photographer, and that's just how it happened. I use two main cameras. I use a 5D Mark IV and a Canon EOS R5, which I got recently that I've been really enjoying.
But a lot of things have to happen before these photographers can actually take to the photo pit.
It's very difficult to reach out, just cold call a venue or a management company and ask for passes. So if you're associated with an outlet, that's going to make it 100% easier. Before a show, I like to do some research. I want to check the band's previous performances, understand what events are happening when during the show. We only get to capture the first 3 songs, so you really want to focus on what's happening so that you can be prepared for that shot. Once I'm done with that, I'll go ahead and prep my gear. I'll make sure batteries are charged, lenses are clean. I've got my credential holder, which is always nice to have, and then just head out to the show.
Photography is a game of seconds, sometimes even less, so these photographers have to be ready during the concert if they want to capture the moment before it's gone.
After I arrive at a venue, if it's a venue I've never been to before, I like to scope the place out, see the layout, and see the angles that I'm looking at for shooting. If it's a venue that I've been to, and especially when I'm more familiar with, I'll say hi to the people that I know at the venue and just kind of do a couple laps, see who's there. But generally, I'll try and take some photos of the atmosphere at the venue. Obviously, if there's a performance or an artist, I'll make sure to take shots of them and some guests, as well as the DJs if there's a DJ playing or a band. I generally shoot all manual. I have a couple custom presets in my camera that I go to, especially for flash and one for atmosphere or no flash shots. I generally try and keep my ISO as low as possible. My cameras can go quite high, so if the light is very low, I will bump up my ISO, especially if I have to bump up my shutter. I generally try and keep my aperture as open as possible as well. It depends. Sometimes I'll have to take a photo of a group and I'll have to close it a little bit. The crowd plays a big role in just the overall vibe of the concert. I think that getting those wide crowd shots when the crowd's really into it and everybody has their arms up, obviously it'll make the photo a little bit better and make it look a little bit more spectacular. Sometimes the crowd could be really crowded and I'll have to fight my way through the crowd, especially at some of the clubs, so I can get a shot of an artist on the stage rather than a shot from behind. The most common problem, even for me, when I'm hired by a lot of these venues, is not being able to access or get close to an artist. A lot of artists really value their privacy, and at a lot of venues, even bigger venues where I'm the house photographer, a lot of artists will limit the photo pit and who can take photos of them.
Following a long night of shooting, photographers have to rush back home to start editing their work in order to put out their photos the next day. The editing process isn't as fun as being a foot away from your favorite artist.
While journalistically you shouldn't be modifying your photos. I think concert photography does lend itself to improving or enhancing color, brightness, and things of that nature. For a single artist and maybe an opening act, that's a couple of hours the next day usually. If you're shooting a 3 or 4 day festival, you're going to spend multiple days because now you're shooting, in the thousands of photos that you need to go through.
Lighting's really everything. A lot of venues like to use this really dramatic lighting. Sometimes they'll flood the stage with like these really harsh purples and reds, so that can be kind of tricky and you have to work around that. I tend to try not to use flash as much, just because I feel like it kind of ruins the vibe in a lot of shots. But that being said, using flash is sometimes necessary in a lot of places.
After going home and editing their photos, photographers then upload the pictures online for the world to see. These pictures take on a life of their own, impacting people in ways the photographer might have never expected. So we talked to Brian Lopez, who recently went to a Jack Harlow concert in Miami, about how photographers influenced him before and after the show.
I think having photographers at concerts are quite significant, for many reasons. But some that come to mind at the moment are just, them capturing the emotion of the fans, the artists, whether it's like confetti, falling from the ceiling, or whether it's like the fans hand-banging, rapping along, singing along. Some even get really emotional to the point where they cry because they see their favorite artist, whether it be Jack Harlow or anyone else, so up close and personal to the point where they're like breathing on them. I believe that it does make me feel more connected to the artist, and it kind of like revisits the experience that I had in attendance, and even after seeing through Jack Harlow's Instagram or his Twitter page, and also Jack's concert photographer, Alex Mason, it kind of makes me feel like reconnected, revisiting the experience overall, whether it be in attendance for like the New York shows, the Boston shows, the DC shows. It kind of makes me feel like as if I'm there in like some minor way possible. But seeing the footage of the fans, of him just enjoying the night, enjoying, just singing along, I thought it was just gonna like up my excitement levels 10 times more. Especially through Alex Mason, which happens to be Jack Harlow's concert photographer. And after seeing the images posted on Jack's Twitter and Jack's Instagram page, I feel like it brought me back to my experience, my overall feel of the environment, the noise levels, whether it be, the singing, the rapping, etc. I felt like it was a great overall experience that, made me like reconnect back with my artist.
But you still might be wondering, what does it take to get that perfect shot that fans see on Instagram?
To get the right shot, it's all about being at the right place at the right time. Sometimes you'll have a shot in mind and you'll try and set that up, and it might not come out the way you want, but having an idea of what shot you want to get, whether it's just I want to get these two people together, or whether it's I want to make sure I get this certain angle when a certain song plays, I think having an idea of what shot you want to get and what moment you want to capture is really important in creating that perfect shot.
I would say it's 25% skill and 75% luck. Being in the right place at the right time and being ready for that moment is great, but most of the time it's going to be luck that turns out to be the key factor.